Hello everyone, today my groupmates and I will make a presentation about Azerbaijani music. Azerbaijani music is a branch of Azerbaijani culture created by folk or individual Azerbaijani composers representing the Azerbaijani national folklore. Azerbaijani music has developed over the centuries. From ancient times, from rock paintings such as Yalı dance in Gobistan, in Azerbaijan there are many songs, various dances, melodies played by shelled shepherds on the flute, which are distinguished by the richness of melody and rhythm. The treatises of famous Azerbaijani scholars such as Safiettin Urma and Abdülkadir Maraghi Nurmasunnava reveal the high level of development of medieval music culture and performance and develop theoretical problems of Azerbaijani music. Safiettin Urmavi, the most powerful musicologist of his time, who adorned the medieval Eastern music culture, was born in 1216 in the city of Urmia. Young Safiettin Urmavi was the first to feel the inexhaustible power of art in this land. Then he went to Baghdad, where he continued his education at the famous Mustansariya Madrasa. The great artist of the future who studied Oriental language at the madrasa became famous in history, literature, calligraphy, music, and other sciences as a result of his hard work and extraordinary talent. Research says that Safiettin Ravi is also the creator of the two stringed musical instruments. One of them is called Nusha and other is called Mughni. Most likely, Urmavi had valuable works on music theory. However, we still know two of his famous works. One of them is called Risale-i Shahrifiya. It was considered Urmavi's first musical work. Safiattin's second work is known as Kitab al-Advar. According to research, this work, which includes a number of important areas of music, has not lost its freshness and significance. However, this great talent fell victim to the fatal injustice and cause of the Middle Ages. Urmavi, a prominent musicologist of his time, died in 1294 at the age of 18 in Baghdad prison. Abdülkadir Maraghi, another great musicologist of Azerbaijani and Turkish origin, has always held a special place in all chapters of life of Azerbaijani people. Abdülkadir Maraghi was born in the middle of the 14th century in Maragha. Like many other medieval scholars, Maraghi was well educated. He mastered the theory of Oriental music, was a beautiful singer, musician, composer, artist, calligrapher, and poet. Maraghi wrote his poems in Azerbaijani, Turkish, Persian, and Arabic. The degree calls Abdülkadir the only one of the time, unparalleled in music. Maraghi began writing his theoretical work, Jame al-Alhan, in 1405 and completed it in 1413. He later wrote Maqsad al-Alhan Lahiya, Shah al-Advar, and Fawaid-i Ashara. Maraghi's works give a wide place to the theory of Mugham and other genres and forms of the oral music tradition of the time. Maraghi completes most of his musical treatises with poems written in Persian and Azerbaijani Turkish. Maraghi played an important role in the development of music science in the Middle East. He spent the last years of his life in Herat. He died and was buried here in 1436.
Nabal was one of the writer, musician, painter, and calligrapher in the Azerbaijan, written in the spirit of the best classical traditions. It is the last treatise of the spices in the East. Nabal was considered one of the last alchemists and augurs in the history of Azerbaijan. Nabal was one of the Azerbaijani intellectuals who wrote their memories and sources and process of the massacre of 1905 and 1906 by Armenians. Among the works of Nawab, the most interesting one is Tezkire-i Nawab. The Tezkire-i Nawab, which gives information about the life and poets that was written in the Karabakh during the 19th century. It was first published in 1913 in Baku. When it comes to his contribution, Visul Argam is one of the valuable musical work that speaks about the social life, about the important issues of Mugham singing, not only in Azerbaijan but also in all Eastern countries. in the last century. Throughout his life, Nawab took an active part in cultural and social life of the Shusha. Now it is great time to talk about Shusha. Shusha was considering the conservator in Azerbaijan since Khushuban Natavan, opera singer Bülbül, composer Üzeyir Hacıbeyov, one of the first Azerbaijani novelists during 20th century, Yusuf Azerchamanzanli were born here. Shusha serves an essential role in the history of Azerbaijani music. And now I would like to talk about Üzeyir Hacıbeyov. Üzeyir Hacıbeyov was composer of the Azerbaijan. Üzeyir Hacıbeyov also recognized as the father of Azerbaijani composed classical music and opera. Üzeyir Hacıbeyov composed the music of national anthem of the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. He also composed the anthem used by Azerbaijan during the Soviet period. He was the first composer of an opera in the Islamic world. When it comes to Üzeyir Hacıbeyov's contributions, Üzeyir Hacıbeyov had great contribution to Azerbaijani music. For example, Hacıbeyov's first opera, Leyla and Majnun. He also wrote the first opera and second opera, Sheikh Sanan, and also other operas, Rustam and Sohrab, Aslı and Karam, Harun ve Leyli were entirely based on Azerbaijani folk music elements, primarily mugham. One of the Hacıbeyov's greatest legacies was bringing the idea of establishing a professional music school. Hence, the Baku Academy of Music, known as the Azerbaijani State Conservatory, was founded in 1920 and named after Hacıbeyov's death.
Yes, Asaf Zeynallı. Asaf Zeynallı is the founder of National Romance Piano and Symphonic Music. He was also one of the young people studying at the first Turkish music school. In addition, Asaf Zeynallı is the first composer to receive professional composition training at the Azerbaijan State Conservatory. While studying at the conservatory, he always looked forward to Üzeyir Hacıbeyli's classes. The great composer played a great role in the work of Asaf Zeynallı. Learning the basics of folk music from Üzeyir Bey, he later traveled to the farthest corners of Azerbaijan to collect folk songs. Later, the young composer created a circle of Western European and Russian classical music at the conservatory. Asaf is also a successful synthesizer. In his work, he achieved an interesting synthesis of Western music by connecting it with the means of expression of folk music. And together, Üzeyir Hacıbeyli and Muslim Magamayev laid to the foundation of the Azerbaijani national style of composition. And then the first romance in the history of Azerbaijani music is connected with the name Asaf Zeynallı. So the novel My Country, included in the Golden Fund of our music, is strong enough to assert itself as a composer. Names are always thrown in pairs. Actually, Asaf Zeynallı is mentioned when the novel My Country is mentioned, and then novel My Country is mentioned when Asaf Zeynallı is mentioned. Now let's listen to a part of Olkam romance. Yes. Okay, for now, Garagarayev. Garagarayev, who played a special role in the development of Azerbaijani music culture and was a genius composer and personality with high morality, encyclopedic knowledge, and who preferred the spiritual and respected the historical past and traditions of other nations. It's interesting that Garagarayev attracted the attention of the most famous artists and scientists of his time. And they attached great importance to the creativity of the composer, his exceptional role in the development of professional music culture of his time. From this point of view, then Prokofiev, then Shostakovich, Krennikov, then Shedrin, as well as our prominent poets and writers Samad Burhan, Ibrahimov, Hussein, and others have always prized the work of Garagarayev. Well-known modern Russian composer Rodion Shedrin rightly noted that Garagarayev, a true national artist, is the far from national boundaries. Together with Üzeyir Hacıbeyli, he can be boldly called the founder of modern Azerbaijani music culture. Many of these genres were practically discovered by Garagarayev in Azerbaijani music. In general, his work is a transition to a new level, a new quality for the national music culture. The emergence of the emergence of the emergence of new Azerbaijani music on the world stage is inextricably linked with Garagarayev's name, Create the School. In short, when we look at the creative past of the world famous artist with a unique talent, we see that he belongs to a professional music culture, deeply aware of the artistic and artistic features his works in all genres of music. And finally, I would like to note his some great works, such as operas, ballets, symphonic works. Yes, thank you.
Hello, I want to talk about prominent composer Fikret Amirov. He originally from Shusha, was born on November 22, 1922 in the city of Ganja. Uh, his life was very difficult. He lost his father when he was 6 years old, and the burden his family fell on him. Kirat was drafted into the army when he was 19 years old. Perhaps it was his hardships that helped him to become a prominent composer. At first, the composer preferred the opera genre. In 1953, he wrote the opera Seville. This opera was created for the subject of Jafar Jabbarla and was connected with the inner desire of the composer. This opera has been performed in many parts of Azerbaijan and Russia. In addition, Fikret Amirov has created well-known works in the ballet genre. These are Shur, Nasimi Epic, Conquerors of the Caspian Sea, Thousand and One Nights, and Nizami ballets. Along with the ballet Nizami, the composer wrote a symphonic work of the same name. The Nizami symphony was performed not only in Azerbaijan but also in many foreign countries and was created with love. There are two additional symphonic works of the composer, symphonic portraits and Vagifi. Fikret Amirov's works doesn't don't end there. He has symphonic mugams, works in various genres on the topic of Azerbaijan, musical comedies, and other works that are very popular. And the last time the composer finished his ballet Nizami was in January 1984, and he died on February 20. In the second part, I want to tell you about the prominent composer of our time. One of them is Akshin Alzadeh, who lived in 1937 2014. Was a prominent Azerbaijani composer and professor. His work Bayatlar is a unique experiment in Azerbaijani music. His main works are Barbek, Caucasus Journey, Waltz of Hope ballets, five symphonies, Bayatlar tar for chamber orchestra, pastoral, and others. Another well-known Azerbaijani composer and artist, Arif Marikov, was born in 1933. His work is characterized by high ideas, rich content, deep emotional and psychological expression of image. The first great work based on the libretto of the famous Turkish poet Nazım Hikmet, the ballet Legend of Love, brought world fame to Arif Marikov. Arif Marikov's works have been performed in many countries around the world: Russia, the United States, Great Britain, and France. In our time, we have many composers like Arif Marikov who are famous almost all over the world. And that's it. Thanks for listening.
Hello everyone. Today I will talk about the Azerbaijani mugham and Azerbaijani tar. Mugham is a pearl of world music, unlike the existing music genres in the world. Mugham has played an important role in the formation of the national and cultural heritage of many peoples and their survival to this day. For centuries, the art of mugham has been a key part of our national and cultural heritage as one of the national symbols of the Azerbaijani people. First of all, I want to talk about the features and philosophy that make Mugham so different. Mugham is not just a simple piece of music or voice composed by a composer. Mugham is a unique tool that mimics the human spirit and can have different effects on its psychology. When listening to carefully to any mugham based on poetry with a deep psychological meaning, thinking about the meaning of the ghazals of Fizoli, Nazimi, Said Azim Shirvani, Wahid, and others, a person plugs into a magical world. His feelings correspond to the musical image of that mugham. Now let's look at the history and structure of the Mugham. The people of the Middle East have a centuries-old spiritual and material wealth. The commonalities in the musical culture of the peoples of the East are more pronounced. One of them is Mugham. Of course, everyone can claim that Mugham has always been in Azerbaijan. Mugham, ancient heritage of the Azerbaijani people, has long been a common property of the masses. However, artistic problems related to the centuries-old art of the Mugham, including the historical development and evolution of Mugham, its composition, structure, features, national identity, have not been adequately studied to date. There are seven main and three auxiliary mughams in Azerbaijan. The main mughams are Rast, Shur, Seyka, Jahargah, Bayat-i Shiraz, Shushtar, and Humayun. And the auxiliary mughams are Shahnaz, Saranj, and second type Jahargah. Fikret Amirov and Uzair Hacıbeyli had a great contribution to the development of Mugham genres. We have enough Mugham master singers who have left deep traces in the history of Azerbaijani music. Qadir Rustamov, Jabbar Garyagdiyev, Khan Shushonsky, Fatma Mehraliyeva, Sara Kadirova, Arif Babayev, Alim Qasımov, and Masum Ibrahimov are just some of them. Azerbaijani tar and Asian national musical instruments also plays a special role in instilling the spirit of Azerbaijanism. Our history, as one of the oldest musical instruments in the world, embodies nationalism. The tar instrument has always been and remains in the interest of performers. In the second half of the 19th century, the Azerbaijani tar player Mirza Sadıkjan made a change in the structure and form of the tar. As mentioned above, he also changed the way he held the tar and lifted it from the knees to the chest. It is the Azerbaijani tar that he developed that is widespread in the Caucasus and Central Asia. Today, tar has a gathered performance of different ages. People artist Mehmet Muslimov, who has been playing the tar for many years and considered it a musical instrument of his life, believes that Azerbaijan tar differs from all of other countries in terms of timbre, instrumental style, and technical capabilities. Takes in the ensembles. The history of Azerbaijan has come in a long way so far, and today it became the most beautiful instruments in the world. And in recent years, UNESCO's declaration of the Azerbaijan tar as a masterpiece has proved that the tar belongs to the Azerbaijan. The tar belongs to the Azerbaijanism. Azerbaijan tar and mugham can show themselves with their grandeur. The opportunities of our history are widely used in mugham competitions and festivals held in the different regions of Azerbaijan.
Another field of Azerbaijani music is ashik music. Azerbaijani ashik art is a music form of oral art formed in folk environment. This art is one of the symbols of Azerbaijani culture and considered the guardian of Azerbaijani language, literature, and music. It includes songs praising of ancient epic legends, freedom, friendship, heroism, and love songs. It's synthetic art, that is, Ashik composes music, writes poetry, plays saz, and dances simultaneously. The main instrument of ashik is saz. Saz is an ancient string musical instrument. Moreover, the genres of national poetry, Koshma, Muhammed, Ustadname, Band, as well as its poetic form like Yaraylı, Divani, Tecnis, are favorite songs of Ashiks. Qurbani, Xəstə Qasım, Aşıq Ali, and Aşıq Ələsgər are considered as the classics of Ashik art. Also, Ashik art is especially spread in Gazakh, Tovuz, Şamaxı regions. Azerbaijan pop music is a pop music created in Azerbaijan. The emergence of it dates back to the mid of 20th century. Growth of new generation of musicians in the 1970s positively influenced Azerbaijan pop music's golden age. Performance of traditional pop music such as Mirza Babayev, Flora Kerimova, and Shavkat Alekbarova had achieved great success at that time. Contemporary Azerbaijani pop music has its roots in traditional Azerbaijani folk music. As a result of globalization, Azerbaijani pop music has been heavily influenced by both dance and electronic forms of pop music of the 1980s. Also, at the beginning of new millennium, while talent show content were one of the major forces in pop music, our country began to participate in 2008 Eurovision Song Contest. And in 2011, the song Running Scared, performed by Eldar Qasimov and Nigar Zamal, was Azerbaijan's first ever victory on European Song Contest Eurovision. Azerbaijan jazz music is a popular variety of jazz in Azerbaijan. Jazz first appeared in Azerbaijan at the beginning of 20th century. During the Soviet period, Baku was one of the three cities best known for jazz, along with St. Petersburg and Riga. In 1930s, Niazi and Tofik Guliev created the first local jazz band. However, jazz in the Soviet Union faced prohibition and censorship from 1920 to 1953. In the late of 1960s, Azerbaijan jazz music was boosted by the composers Gara Garayev and Rauf Hacıyev. Also, in 1969, the first jazz festival was held in Baku. As of 2000, the country saw the increase in jazz festivals. For example, Baku Jazz Festival has been held since 2005. It was founded by the outstanding Azerbaijani famous musician Rain Sultanov. Also, the Baku Jazz Center has been created for development and support of jazz in Azerbaijan. Among the famous Azerbaijani jazz musicians are Aziz Mustafazadeh, Rayan Sultanov, Isfar Sarabsky, and Shahin Nograslı. Thank you for your attention. We hope you enjoyed our presentation.